christiangeekcentral.com.
Hey, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions here with part 6 of my bookshelf tour. All right, now last time we left off at, Final Fantasy Tactics. Gotta go fast because I set my egg timer again for just about like 10 minutes or so I don't have much time. Final Fantasy Tactics. This was, I bought this because I was a big Final Fantasy fan at the time, but it was a totally, different type of game, obviously, if you've heard of this one. Man, the focus is not really good on that. Sorry, guys. It's a game that I still have never beaten fairly. I can only beat it by cheating. And what's frustrating to me is that, there's so many different types of character classes here, so many different ways that you can approach playing the game, but then you'll, hit a bottleneck boss fight that in my experience is it's only beatable one of there's 3 ways that you can beat it, maybe. And if you haven't built your guys up and focused on one of these very specific jobs and have it ready to go for that specific fight, then you're going to have to go back and just do random battles for a long time so you can get the class you need to fight that battle, It was just kind of ridiculous looking online at strategy guides at how specific you had to beat some of these key battles. So a little bit frustrating, but, with cheat codes, I was able to just, get where I wanted to go on that. Okay, so this is my Vita in here, which I purchased, about a year ago or so, and that was mainly to take advantage of the PSP games that I missed out on, and some of the Vita games that would be like strategy RPGs and stuff that I had missed. I'm actually thinking that it might have been a better choice to wait a little while and buy a PS TV. At the time that I bought my Vita, they didn't have as large a library of PS Vita games and PSP games that were compatible with the PS TV. But now you can buy a PS TV, and most of the games that you would probably want to play are playable on your screen at home, which is really how I prefer to play it. Through the PlayStation TV, PSP, and PS Vita games. So if I were to go back in time, I would say, Peter, wait just maybe 6 months if you can. But I had a trip coming up that I kind of wanted some new games for. So anyway, but the PS TV you can get for really pretty cheap now. All right, sorry, I had to change my recording method because my phone is stupid. Okay, so Final Fantasy IX. I actually just repurchased this on Steam. So that I could have the high definition version and also have the option for mods if I really wanted. I bought this game when I was first dating my now wife, Holly. And this was the first, this is possibly my favorite, at least looking back as far as nostalgia goes, this is definitely my favorite Final Fantasy game. Now I would probably give that to Final Fantasy 12 just because I like the gameplay better. This was the first time I had ever named characters after people in my real life. So my princess, I named Holly, and it's worth noting that Holly also has fair skin and dark hair. I guess not all of them are named after real people. Just 2 of them. I named this character Merrick at the time I was working on the story for what would become the Spirit Blade audio drama. And, he's kind of nice and cute, and whenever Holly sees a picture of this guy, she's, oh, Merrick, And then I named this guy Vincent, also another character from the Spirit Blade audio drama trilogy. And then this character I named Peter. They have the kind of the love interest here, and he has kind of dishwater blonde hair. My hair these days is a little bit darker, but at the time that was pretty close when I didn't have any hairspray or anything. I don't remember what I named this guy, just weird funky man. But this was the first Final Fantasy IX game that actually brought me to tears, and I didn't see it coming. With the whole sprite type look, I had no idea how much they were going to play up the romance between these 2 characters, but I really enjoyed it a lot, and I think possibly because I renamed them after me and my girlfriend at the time, maybe it was more emotionally impactful to me, but I did eventually go back and play through the game again, and it still had the same powerful impact again. Yes, I did use the names Peter and Holly again, but I really just felt like the story itself was what was doing it for me. So yeah, I have fond memories of this game. In playing the recent Steam version, I found that the gameplay has aged a bit for me, and nostalgia is not quite pulling me through. It's going to be one that I kind of come to every now and then just to kind of do a little bit of the old school turn-based type of gameplay. But I would say of the Final Fantasy games that use the old school turn-based system, this is probably my favorite and probably the one I'm most likely to go back to. I don't know, maybe Final Fantasy VIII because I like the collection system in Final Fantasy VIII. But anyway, moving along. Now we're getting into some games that I'm not sure why I still have. I'm either going to like give these away in some kind of like worthless giveaway online or something, or just decide I want to keep them around for when I have like people over to have like a video game night or something for their enjoyment, not for mine. But Mega Man 8, I really wanted to enjoy that game. This was when like I was still playing video games and I hadn't quite focused in on RPGs. They hadn't made enough RPGs that I would really be able to enjoy. I was still trying to get my video game fix through action games that I sucked at, but using cheat codes to try and get through them. And so these are kind of like artifacts of just kind of a different time for me as a gamer. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Boy, remember when this game was controversial? I do. But I've kept this one around just like as almost like as a museum piece. So for when I have a video game night, I'm like, hey, anybody want to play Mortal Kombat? Then I can pull this one out if they want to do that. But that's another one that I could, I don't play this myself. I just keep it around for others to play. But I can see myself getting rid of that one as well. Now, RPG Maker. This I played the crap out of. At the time I bought this, I was so excited. This was, oh yeah, that's right. I was dating Holly at the time that I bought this. In fact, she's the alchemy shopkeeper. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because my wife is a pharmacist. And so I was like, oh, that'd be cool. I'll make her the equivalent of a pharmacist in a fantasy RPG. But there were no superhero RPGs, and at the time that this game came out, I desperately wanted some kind of a Justice League RPG. It just seemed like a no-brainer to me to have superhero comic book, RPGs, turn-based, and so I actually I didn't complete it, but I worked on a Justice League RPG that was like an Elseworlds Justice League RPG, where these characters were trapped in another Elseworlds dimension that was like a fantasy world, but they had to wake up from it and regain their superpowers and stuff like that. So I actually did a playthrough of what I have completed on this during, I want to say, the first Extra Life live stream. I don't know that I made a video out of that, of the entirety of the gameplay, but if you're interested in seeing like a playthrough of that, it probably takes about maybe 20 to 30 minutes for me to play through all the content that I made for that game. If you're interested in seeing that, let me know and I'll consider putting that up. Let's see, what's next? More artifacts of, oh wait a minute, no, this might be one I actually, no, not quite. Okay, Spyro. Don't tell my boys that I have this. They're big fans of Spyro the Dragon on the Wii and the GameCube. This is actually a game that my younger sister bought, that when she's feeling nostalgic, she still likes to come over and play using my PS2. But I don't really, I've never really touched it myself much. Okay, now this game is an interesting little bit of PlayStation past. Skull Monkeys. This is made by, I want to say the same people that did like the Abe something or other. It's like some Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. It might be the same people, I'm not sure. But it's all claymation based. It's a side-scrolling platformer, and even with cheat codes that make me invincible, the platforming gets too difficult for me in the end to finish it, so I haven't beaten this game, but it's still really fun to come back to. If you just do a YouTube search on Skull Monkey's Bonus Room song, you're going to do yourself a big favor, because when you find like the hidden coin room in this game, there's an awesome folk song that is sung in the background that you've just got to hear it for yourself. So yeah, go check out Skull Monkey's Bonus Room song, and you'll do yourself a favor today. Next up, finishing off my side-scrollers for PlayStation 1 is Strider 2, which also includes the original Strider. Interesting little tidbit about this, it includes 2 discs. The disc for Strider 1, and then also the disc for, you got to open it up backwards, the disc for Strider 2. Due to a printing error, Strider 2 is actually on the disc for Strider 1, and Strider 1 is on the disc for Strider 2. I had just the right codes to enjoy that, but otherwise I wouldn't go back to it. Although I am considering going back to the new Strider that just came out recently, because I heard it's basically like a Castlevania Symphony of the Night type of clone, with like leveling up and going to different, backtracking and stuff like that, which is a gameplay that I really enjoy. These 3 are all different cheat devices. So like for the PlayStation 1, the Action Replay, and then what did we have here? Also for the PlayStation 2, this is the Code Breaker. And then this is like, I don't know, leftover disc, some other kind of like action replay max. I don't know what that is, but like for my PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 era gaming, I still use cheat devices. I really enjoyed using cheat codes. It opened up just a lot of games that are now, frankly, closed to me because they're just too difficult for me to play. So this was a great era of gaming as far as my ability to diversify a bit. Although that has started coming back a bit. I'll talk about that when I get to some 360 games. But for now, PlayStation 2, okay, these are the top-down Diablo clones, as they were called at the time. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, very different from the PC Baldur's Gate games. It's definitely more of like a Diablo-type experience. And tons of fun. I actually prefer these games. So we got Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2, and Champions of Norath. I actually prefer these games to the Diablo games. One, because I can play them on a console and with a gamepad specifically. That's like the hugest selling feature for me. And then also because, like, when I played Diablo 3, I just felt swarmed by bad guys. I felt way too powerful. And when you fight a bad guy in these games, maybe it's because, you know, they had to have you fight fewer because the system wasn't capable of putting as many characters on the screen at once. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I felt like each enemy that I confronted was a significant threat. And I felt like I was fighting, you know, individual enemies as opposed to just kind of swarms, which is what I feel like I'm fighting when I play Diablo 3. And then, let's see here, moving on. Okay, Dragon Quest 8. This is notable because I think it was one of the first games, it was the first RPG I played that came over from Japan that had a live symphony orchestra that had recorded the music for it. The Japanese version that was released for PS2 did not have that, but when they brought it over to America, they included a fully recorded score from a symphony orchestra. It was, so I mean, like, oh crap, I'm out of time. So listening to this game while I played it was really enjoyable, and my wife actually enjoyed it when I would turn this game on because she was like, oh, that actually sounds like real music. This is a game I might come back to play. In fact, all these PlayStation 2 games, I would really love to come back and play these so much. I'm kind of waiting, possibly in false hope, that they will... that they'll bring them to PlayStation 4 and do kind of like the up-res thing that they're doing with PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 4 games. I kind of don't think that's going to happen, though, because especially at least with these with the Baldur's Gate games and Champions of Norath, maybe with Champions of Norath, that one has a shot. But Baldur's Gate, those are like licensed D&D intellectual property games. And so there's probably going to be some licensing hoops that they don't want to jump through again, because I'm sure the licenses have expired and it would be a new license to put it on PS4. Who knows? I think it's just a bummer. I want true backwards compatibility on PS4 because there's a bunch of PS2 games that I would love to be able to play that are probably not going to get remade or re-released just because of licensing issues. Another one is Justice League Heroes, which I'll talk about as we move down the line next time.
christiangeekcentral.com